Ahoy, crypto pirates! Welcome to your Discourse Syndicate FN Hangout. I think I'm still the captain, your captain, maybe not pulsechain.com Telegram rooms captain anymore, but I am still the captain doing what I do for you, pumping your bags, everything I can, spitting out a spleen, sweating my ass off, working to the bone, trying to make things better for all of us. Yes, yes, yes. I guess I'm a little butthurt right now. I posted the FN Hangout like I do every Friday night for the last 3+ years, and I got booted from the pulsechain.com chat room, Telegram chat room, and then I went into the they had a little chat going on, so I went in the chat to try and ask what happened, and the guy who was in there talking, I don't really know who he was, said I was a troublemaker. Well, I know I'm a troublemaker, but never in any of our chat rooms, never in anything that Richard Hart does. I'm 100% full-blooded. In fact, I am the Hexican. I'm the Hexican. So anyway, a little frustrating. There's 60,000 people in there. Is that what it is? I don't know. I can't see it anymore. Yeah, 60,000 members, and I couldn't post the FN Hangout in there tonight. A little bummed, but such is life. This too shall pass. So I'm sure it was a mistake. I'm hoping it was a mistake. But anyway, enough on that. I wanted to open up the show tonight with a couple of cool things. First and foremost, I would like to talk about a tweet that Richard put out. Let me jump on that real quick. But first, let me do what I always do and say hello to the chat room, because we've got Melftonian there, as always, numero uno, throwing us the maths. My lady Sandy Beach, welcome. An OG from the past who's been coming around again. One of my favorites, Swearworks. Love you, bro. Glad to see you here. Always good to see you too. Hex Hoddle. Who else is in here? We've got to get these numbers up. It's about time. It's about time we start putting out some better content, getting some numbers up, helping out the community, because we've got some cool stuff coming. The Pulse Chain Tour is in full effect. We're going to be in Seattle here really, really soon, like 8-9 days, doing our live show, promoting Pulse Chain on my dime, on my family's time. And doing it for you for free, except for the folks that are doing most of the work. I just show up and talk to the folks. But anyway, that's coming up. We've got the movies coming out really, 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 really soon. Yes, good stuff coming. All brought to you by your blocked from pulsechain.com captain, the man who's putting on the Pulse Chain Tour, traveling the country. Anyway, Rectangle, Luke Duke, welcome. Lewis III, good to have you. Crypto CPT, yo, what's up, brother? Who else is in here? The Kool-Aid's in here, my man, the Kool-Aid. And Klaz, welcome, Klaz. Saw you on your stream earlier. You ladies look fabulous doing your thing. Best looking, smartest ladies in all of crypto are our ladies. I mean, the best people, the best of all crypto. You guys won. Do you realize you won? I'm going to show you how you've won and why you've won. Richard said it just earlier. Who else is in here? Crypto King, the producer. What's up? MT Coiner. Hey, what's up, MT? Crypto Steve. Any relation to Scuba Steve? Bright Light 57. What's happening with you? Hex Sailing. Oh man, always good to see you. We got to get on a trip one of these days. Right. Gosh, we haven't heard from each other since freaking London, right? Westcott Crypto. Man, my hat is off to this young man. He is crushing it out there, crushing it, and building his bag right in front of you guys and crushing the content. If you haven't seen Westcott Crypto, and I'm sure everybody in here has, because his numbers are way better than mine for sure, then man, Westcott's, he's the man. His content is bar none just freaking superb. Who else is in here? ATX Crypto. Where are we at? This thing just not given. Die Hard Hexican. Yeah, I like your name. Die Hard Hexican. You will always be the captain. Yes, I will always be the captain. I will always be the captain, no matter what. No matter where they put me, no matter what boot they put on my neck, no matter how far down they try, they will not get rid of me ever, 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 ever. One thing, I may not be like the best at everything. There's some things that I can do that a lot of people here can't do, but that's in a different life and it doesn't matter anymore. Spent 30 years doing something, becoming an expert at something, and very respected in what I do there. But this is new. This is different. I mean, crypto is different. So big learning curve, and I don't have it to be an expert in all of the details of crypto, but I do know what we got our hands on, and I do know what I have, and I have passion, and I have a drive and a work ethic that you cannot stop. You can't stop me. You can't. See, there's something about me that will, if we're in a contest to do the most push-ups or anything of that nature, I will fucking die before I quit. That's me. I will not be beat. I will kill myself before I die doing what it is I'm doing. That's who I am. That's where I do. Yes, SoarWorks. Thank you. I have been doing better. I still can't hear out of my right ear. I have this massive amount of tinnitus going on, so no sleep for a month. It's just been brutal. But again, not going to stop me. It's very, very frustrating, but it is what it is. I've got a lot of people helping me, a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of people helping me out. So I appreciate your hopes there, man. Max, what's up, buddy? One of these days we're going to talk about some stuff too. Yes, appreciate you, bro. Thanks, Westcott, following my lead. Man, I'm following you, bro. I'm following you. Sandip, another OG from the past. Rectangle, good to see you. Oh, look, we got double accounts in here. Daraj, what's up, Daraj? I'm sure maybe, man, your internet has been wrecked the last few times we tried to get you on. Hopefully, maybe one day we can get you squared away. Bernard Dorsey, what's up? You need some time out, Dorsey. You haven't had any time out for a long time, my man. Well, anyway, that's it. That's hellos to everybody. I like doing that just because I appreciate all of you so much for supporting us, being here, listening, helping to promote the stuff that we're doing. I don't take all of this lightly. I have fun doing it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't take any of this lightly, because what we're doing here is, a byproduct of what we do here and what we do on the Pulse Chain Tour and what we do by, putting all of our money, effort, and time into the movie and all of these things are to help other people understand and get involved in real, true DeFi, because the world needs it. The world needs it. And we have it in our hands. And I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to show you that. Let's see. I'm going to go to Richard's tweet here. I want to read this to you guys. I would put it up, but, where is it now? And wait. Where did it go? Imposter. Okay. This is Richard's tweet. It said, imagine deploying Ethereum, Geth, Aragon, Lighthouse, Prism. Now, I'm going to be honest. I didn't understand nor care to understand what all those things were. But today I said, you know what? RG, you got to get your ass in there and do a little research and find out exactly what all of these things are. You don't have to know what they are, but get an idea of what they are. And I did, and I read all of them. And what Richard did with all of those things is he took the best of the new technology in blockchain technology and entered them into Pulse Chain. So all the things that are good in Fura, Uniswap, and Etherscan, well, anyway, Etherscan. Those are the things that were infused into Pulse and Pulse Launch. So we have the most outstanding chain on the planet. He's put everything into it. We have it all. It's the best of the best, and it's working. It's working. It's not failing. It's not floundering. It's not turning off. It's working. And then he says, then imagine ETH burning 25% of block rewards and increasing throughput by 17%. So it's better than ETH. Now, I'm not going to say the stupid buzzword, the ETH killer, because it is not. ETH's going to be around. ETH's going to continue to be around because guess what? They're going to deploy all these things and make them better too, and their fees are going down as Pulse Chain starts to draw. Their fees are going to be good too. Their fees are going to get better. Let's not say good. Let's just say they're going to get better. So a lot of this talk about Hex dying on Ethereum is bullshit. Bullshit. Because, and I've said this from the beginning of time, Hex is going to become so scarce and rare that people are going to be waiting in line to get your Hex out of your stakes. Imagine that. There's a handful of percentages of liquid Hex out there that can be staked. When the powers that be, I mean, look at BlackRock's getting into crypto now. When the powers that be get into crypto and they realize that there is an immutable, automatically or an immutable, stakeable, automatic yield return with no risk, no counterparty risk whatsoever. It's just you and the code that has been working flawlessly for 3, 4, 5 years. They're going to be all over that stuff like a fat kid on a cupcake. I'm telling you, Hex on both chains is going to become so rare that they're going to want it on both chains. They're going to want whatever Hex is there. So we're already starting to see parity coming, things, ETH Hex is starting to come back up, even after all of the stupid, ridiculous FUD that some of us so-called Hexicans have been doing. And I forgive every single one of them for doing it. But anyway. So ETH burning 25, block increases 17, increased throughput 17%. That's what Pulse Chain's done. Uni, buy and burn and yield farms. The buy and burn. The burn that's going on. Etherscan, removing the ads, taking the ads out of Etherscan. Infura, just making it free. Made Infura free. Pulsechain.com. Boom, that's what he puts down. Imagine the massive respect and honor earned. Richard, you have my massive respect. You always have had my massive respect, and the honor is definitely earned. You have beat everybody in crypto. You have. You've beat them all. And they should all be bending the knee for you because you have done it, my friend. And I do mean my friend. Oh, and do the world's largest free airdrop and lower the gas fees on ETH for everyone too. Just a little cherry on top. Well done, Richard. Well done. And for that, I am going to continue to do what I do and keep praising your works and what you've done because it's definitely earned and deserved. And he knows it from us, but I sure wish, well, I don't wish. I can't wait until the rest of crypto finally gets it and does realize that Richard has been, in the last few years, the best guy in crypto, the best guy for crypto, the best guy for crypto. And he did it in his way, which is great because I love being the underdog. I love, working from behind. I love working. Ooh, that wasn't good. I love working from. Anyway, from a position of defense, a full fighting retreat, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I just wanted to make mention of that tweet because it's very important what Richard has done, and he doesn't get the accolades for that. He doesn't, and we should all be talking about that. Yeah, Hexalina Pulse a lot does a lot of bucket filling for Richard. Let's talk about that real quick, and then I'm going to bring up my guest that's going to open up the FN Hangout for us tonight. Yeah, I knew the working from behind thing was going to get yeah. Where was I? I forgot. Doggone it. Anyway, maybe I should just bring up my guest. I was going to say something too important. Oh, bucket filling. So I know that we've had a lot of FUD. We've had a lot of infighting. We've had a lot of people that have maybe gotten hurt because of the positions they put themselves in with this pulse chain launch, expecting something. Remember, no expectations, guys. You made your own fate if you did hurt yourself. It's not Pulse Chain's fault or Richard's fault that it did the same thing that everything else has done on launch. All you got to do is go look at all the charts. It pumps, it dumps, it rolls down, it may dump a little more, and then we start to see a slow rise as people start to enter the system, as people start to put their monetary value in, as the plebs that over leverage themselves start to get removed from the system, which is what we're seeing. Removed. They go away. I've seen some Hexicans that have been around for a long time saying, I'm out of here. I'm done. Cashing my bags out and going. That's a sad thing. It's a sad thing because you're 3 feet from gold. Have you ever heard about that book, 3 feet from gold? It's like you're mining and mining and mining and mining and mining, and then you just quit and you were just 3 feet away from that monster, pocket of ore. And don't stop digging right now. Don't. This is going to pass. We are in one of the worst crypto bear markets that we've seen. It's extended. It's long. The FUD is huge. The governments are after us. The freaking three letter agencies are after us. Everything looks like hell out there. Crypto's getting FUDded because the centralized exchanges are finally getting margin called and called out on their bullshit. Guys, these are bullish signals. These are bottom signals, bullish signals. You know the halvening's coming. You know it's coming next year. You know what happens when that happens. And you know what happens as we're rolling into it. There's nothing new under the sun, not even in crypto. It's just different FUD. It's always something FUDing this bear market down. Why? Look at what BlackRock just did. Oh, we're making an ETF. Well, that's a bullish signal. Why? Because they know they're getting in. They're getting in. Now, is it my preference that they get in? Do I care? It's going to be good for crypto, for the bullshit crypto, but that's going to pump all of our bags because it's going to bring more capital into the system. They're talking this next run hitting, 8-9 trillion. That's what BlackRock was saying. And I don't think they're lying because, we saw it in 17 go to that 1 trillion mark and crack it. And then we seen this last bull run go to the 3 trillion mark and crack it. What makes you think we're not going to hit that 6, 7, 9 trillion? That's what's coming, guys. That's what's coming. You just got to hold on. Just got to hold on and keep digging. Don't stop 3 feet from gold. Do not stop 3 feet from gold. Don't sell yourself short right now. You don't want to do that. You do not want to do that. So many people, I don't know if you've seen that meme of the guy that, I sold my Hex, man. I remember when that came out. I remember where we were. I remember we were dumping, and this guy sold a couple million hex, not dollars, a couple million hex, and boom, it moved right after he sold his hex, and he was so bummed on that, and he turned into a meme. Don't be a meme. Don't do that to yourselves. And I would behoove of all of you not to FUD any of Richard's projects, because Richard has always said, I want to see hex expensive on both chains. And I think that's what we're going to end up having. I almost truly believe that 100%. I want Archie to sing Living on a Prayer. I do a mean cowboy, you know. I can do that. I can do that song. I can get that out. But anyway, all right. Well, with that, I'm going to bring up my guest. So now this gentleman is, you know, he's a prominent figure in the community because he's got some pipes on it. He can sing, and he's done some cool songs for us in the past. But he doesn't do a lot. He's not out there in the public a whole bunch. But he's a good friend of mine. I've visited him at home. He and his wife, and me and my wife, we've gone on trips together, and we were just out on the cruise, and just a good, salt of the earth human being. I'm gonna bring him up. The Singer. What's up, my brother?
Hey. What's up? What's up? Can you hear me all right on this?
I can hear you, and your dog.
Hey, there you That's funny. I think she's barking because I've been quiet this whole time, and when I start talking, she's like, "Wait, what's going on?"
It's not too loud. It's all right.
All right.
So what's up, my man? How you doing?
This is I think this has been a long time coming here. You know, we talked about this for a while, and so I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I know we've been trying to get it together. It has been a whirlwind the last few weeks with me, with everything going on. It's been wild with the tour happening, and we're getting ready to launch this movie out real soon, and just trying to gather everything together here during the bear market, and get ready to start, you know, really pumping Richard's ecosystem that he's built, because we're excited.
That's right. And so I'm sporting kind of a nice shirt here for our friend Gary, funding.
I was going to say, it's very, you know, Gary-esque there.
You know,
sure. Is that a Robert? What do they call it? A Robert?
Oh, I mean, it's from Dillard's. I don't know. It's a nice shirt, but it's not like some crazy expensive shirt.
Yeah, I have like two collared shirts. I have a black one and a white one, and that's about it. And when my wife makes me wear it, I wear it.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, what do you want to talk about? I know that we talked a little bit about. I want to talk about a little bit what's going on with the current state of affairs, but I haven't. I mean, a lot of folks I think that watch your show don't maybe not know me, and maybe they benefit from knowing just a little bit about.
Lay your story on everybody real quick and let them know, you know, how you got in here, what you're doing here, and what your plans are for the future of the Hex community.
Right. Kind of the origin story, right?
Yeah.
Well, so what's crazy is whenever I started hearing people's stories, you know, kinetics, you know, I'm trying to think, you know, crypto coffee, just hear some of these people talking about their origin story, how they came across something called Hex, right? It was amazing to me how similar the stories were, and so I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard before. You get excited about a technology, this new thing called cryptocurrency. Start looking into it. Start realizing that blockchain is going to be the future. You hear people talk about like the new internet, to the internet of money, and so started looking into it. Started getting excited about it, and so how do you get involved in this thing? Well, there's something called Bitcoin. There's something called, hey, you can actually even do something better by not just holding your Bitcoin, but lending your Bitcoin. So, right, getting it so it's no longer in your control. Now you're letting somebody borrow it, and they're gonna do something where they're gonna be doing arbitrage opportunity, and they're gonna be getting you anywhere from maybe like a 0.25% to a 1.5% per day, right? Anybody, does that sound familiar to anybody out there? If you've been in something called BitConnect or these lending programs, well, now we know, hey, it was stupid. Should have never been involved in anything like that. But at the time, it just made a whole lot of sense, and a lot of people were involved in it. A lot of people got involved in those type of programs where you were giving your keys to someone else. Basically, you're giving someone else your tokens, and realized, you know what? Hey, I'm not going to get involved in that kind of thing anymore. I'm just going to focus on fundamentals. I'm going to focus on trading. I'm going to just focus on the fundamentals, right? So just get really good at trading and work that route. Well, the problem there is that now you get things like the exchanges are basically working against you because they know where everybody's stops are. So even if you were an expert, in trading, if you didn't sit there and babysit your stuff, and you're going to put stop losses on your things, then they're going to get you stopped out, and you're going to lose money anyway. So it was kind of like a lose-lose situation. And then, but the silver lining in all that is that if I hadn't experienced that, then I wouldn't have listened whenever somebody came along and said, I realized they've been saying this for a while, is don't get involved in these programs, don't get involved in trading. Right? Basically teaching people how to not get involved in those things, and saying the people that win, right, are holders and founders, and this basic concept of not your keys, not your coins, and just teaching us those fundamentals. And it just made so much sense to me. And I listened because I had already experienced the pain, right? I already experienced the loss. And so, wishing, of course, I wish I had, everything that I lost, that I could been involved with it, but thankfully, I still had a little bit left over.
But you know what? It's for being early, there's a price to pay, and you have to think of it as an early education. Like, we're so far ahead of the curve. We're 2, 3, 4 years ahead of people that are getting in now, that are going to get in the next couple of years, that are going to benefit from this also. But we paid our dues. We came from the old world of crypto, where trading was the policy, giving away your coins was the policy. That's just what we all thought we had to do in order to make gains, and hope number go up on something, and then, we paid our dues and realized that wasn't the way to go. And then we were able to, because of that, through those glasses, those goggles, see what Richard was actually bringing to the table, where others didn't, because we had gotten wrecked, or we had seen something that we didn't like. And we were thinking in our mind that, man, if we could just put a different twist on this, then crypto would be right. And when Richard said that to us, when Richard gave us that product that was going to do that, was going to truly be immutable, then and provide trustless yield, that's where the bulb went off, for all of us. And all of those years of struggling and wasting our money on other projects and things, we paid our dues, we learned, and we got to be early. And that's the price for being early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think looking at the situation, I would say for folks that got involved in Hex on day 1 and 2, right, there was like a incentive, right, for that to be early because there was more supply, right, kind of like bonuses for those folks, and then it dropped, like a rock for how many days, so that was interesting to watch, right? And then, but here we are, like repeat, it's like
the exact same, like the chart almost looks identical. You know what I mean? So people just realize that we've seen this before. We've seen the launch, boom. We've seen the dip. For those of you who were fortunate enough to understand that and take advantage of that, good on you. Good on me. I was able to, capitalize on that myself. And of course, not out, but wait and buy everybody's bags that they sold.
Yeah.
And yes, man, again, by, a third, increase the bag by a whole third just by doing so. and watching the trends. You know, I always say there's nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new under the sun. It's all happened before. It's all secular. It's all Fibonacci. So all of you guys who do read charts and do understand charts, you should understand the reason behind charting. The reason behind charting is to see patterns and to understand the patterns and not make knee-jerk reactions or use them to try and game the system or use them to try and fight somebody else on the other side of the screen to steal their coins from them before they steal yours from you, but to actually make cognizant, rational decisions about what your bag is going to do without trading. Do it immutably. Do it through the system that is there. You know, watch the trends, and you know, and you'll make out. So, and the tools are all there now. We've got some amazing tools with PulseX, with yield farming, and the buy and burn, and all this stuff that's out there. It's just it's going to be a phenomenal run up. That's for sure. We're going to have a great run up.
You know, what's funny is that, you know, when I was drawn to this, you know, it was really just literally, I wasn't looking for something life-changing. I wasn't looking to change the world. You know, I wasn't looking for any, it was more of like, hey, I have some funds from insurance that are just going to sit there in the bank and go negative because of inflation. So I'd like to be somewhere where it's I want to be a good steward of these funds, right? So that's kind of how it started for me. And then after understanding and learning about it, then it's like, wow. I mean, like the thing about crypto, obviously, you know, there's all kinds of junk out there too. But when you look at something like the RH system, you know, RH ecosystem, I look at something that's like, hey, there's an immutable code. I tell you what, the dollar system is not immutable. It's constantly changing. And we're constantly being lied to about what inflation is, right? And so people are having their money taken. Inflation is the hidden tax. That's what it is. It's the hidden
exactly
tax.
what it is.
So whenever we experience inflation, and they try to tell us that the number is it's 2%, it's 1.5%, all this. Whenever we know, when you go to the grocery store, 2 years ago it was about $100 to fill a grocery bag, your grocery cart, you know, 150. Now it's like 200, 250. You have to fill your, you know, it's only been 2 or 3 years, and that's your grocery cart, and that's everybody. So that's the same person the guy that's making $10 an hour, his grocery bill has gone up 50%, right? That's a huge problem, right? So back to my point is, when you look at something like the supply, you look at Hex, you look at Pulse, you look at Ink, you look at all these things, you know that there's an immutable code there. There's a code that's telling you, here is what the specific inflation is. Here's where the inflation is going. It's going to incentivize these people here that are holding up the price, that are creating something of value. And when I saw that, I'm like, it just makes so much sense. It's something that so many people, if they understood what it was, they would be willing to hang their hat on that. They'd be willing to say, yeah, man, I'm willing to be a part of that system in order to help myself, but everybody else. You know, Crypto Heartbeat talks about this concept of helping others in addition to yourself, this concept, right? And so that's what, when people look at, they should not just look at crypto as like, hey, I just want to, you know, win Lambo, right? They should look at it from the standpoint of, yes, help themselves and their families, but help others at the same time. And so that's why it's irritating too, when you see people that maybe that are, you know, there are tokens out there that whenever they launch, the founders are just dumping on people's heads right away, or the supply is just inflating to infinity. And so people that got in are getting, you know, diluted, except for these first few people. You know, it's kind of like a Ponzi scheme or something, right? Or pyramid scheme almost, right? Whereas this, it's like the opposite. The people that got in, you know, you look at the OA and things like that, they're holding the price up. They're doing something to better the whole ecosystem. And so it's helping so many people, and people that have this short-term mentality of wanting to win and win right now, or they see something, or they've already made the dream in their head that they're going to do X, Y, Z. And if it doesn't happen on the timeline that they have pictured, then they're upset, then they're mad, then it's kind of this multiplication effect, and you get people out there talking negative and everything else, and then it's gonna kind of, and then you have people giving up and like you said, exiting crypto. Whenever I look at the numbers, just look at if somebody was in Hex before Pulse, the Pulse sack, and they sacked Pulse, right? I'm gonna say they sacked Hex for the Pulse sacrifice. They're up big time.
Big time.
They're up big time, and I hope that they realize that. So someone that's getting out now that was in Hex, now, if somebody was new, so let's say you had a newbie, and you're like, hey, don't put it in Hex, put it all in Pulse, this Pulse launch, because it's going to be huge. I can understand people that got in and they put their money straight into Pulse and didn't get into Hex at all, and they haven't seen any success. I could see them being frustrated, being sad, and needing some to be uplifted and say, hey man, hang on. You're like you said, you're 3 feet from gold. Don't give up. I can see that. But folks that have been, if somebody's out there and been in Hex, surely they've done the math and they've looked and see that they're basically Richard protected their bags, because if they sack in Hex, then they're up, because what was the average price of Hex during the sacrifice? Do you remember?
34 to 40, somewhere around 34 to 40 cents, somewhere around there.
Because you had the Pulse X and the Pulse, and they were kind of drastically different. But and so here, what do we are? Let's say the combined price of Hex right now is around 2.5 cents or something. Well, then they're up big time. So hopefully those folks know that they were protected in all this, and that they have multiple projects, multiple assets that they can watch grow. So anyway, I just want, I haven't really heard people talking about that so much. I think Richard mentioned it one time not too long ago about but not many folks are talking about that.
Yeah, I tweeted about it a few days ago, that my bag would have been down 90% if Pulse Chain had launched and I was buying Pulse Chain. 90%. My bags were 90% higher when we sacrificed. That's a big difference. And to get Pulse Chain at that price with your bag at 90% to sacrifice your Hex for, huge. So a lot of us got saved from our own, weak lettuce hands, as some of our friends would say. And yet we don't talk about that enough. We don't, and we should be. Now, for those people getting in now, you're getting in it at bargain basement prices. The price has dipped below sack price, and maybe you didn't get the multiplier, but you've got the opportunity to buy that low. And man, it's huge. It's huge.
Right.
So everybody's making out. It's going to be time. It's going to take time for the price to stabilize and start pumping and more economic energy to come in. Because you got to realize that whales haven't started playing games with this yet. This is a lot of, just Hexicans that have over leveraged themselves, getting out, selling, trying to, and some of them, are just trying to pay the bills, so I can't fault them for that.
Right.
Everybody has the right to sell. Everybody has the right to sell, and doxing or fudding or saying anything ill about people selling. Now, warning them about what they're doing, because they haven't seen the gold yet, is one thing. Yeah. But going after people and doxing wallets for selling, I really think that's despicable. It goes against everything that crypto is. It's one thing to know whale wallets and watch them and see how they move and adjust your strategy to it. But fudding it out or calling it out or saying, look, everybody has the right to sell. The biggest whale has the right to sell everything in his bag, period of end of story. And none of us have anything to say about it. That's their right. And that's what crypto is made for, is for us to be in control of our own money, no matter what we do with it. Now, there are things that, there are influencers out there who do some nefarious things, like, make people pump and dump and that kind of stuff. That's uncalled for also. And I'm not saying that shouldn't be called out, but, you know, and a lot of those people do get, and that mostly happens over in the Bitcoin area. We just seen somebody tweeted today about one of these guys who was pumping the bags, and he dumped on everybody's head. And then he boasted about doing it like live on the air. I mean, right to his community. I mean, people who follow folks like that, I mean, you got to rethink your life if that's what you're doing. I mean, you got to get rid of those folks, get them out of your life. It's just,
You never know what somebody's going through that they need money for. You know, somebody could have cancer or something. They got a bill that they've been waiting to pay, and Pulse Chain launches and they sell. You know, you never know, dude. But I'm with you there. I mean,
they could be underwater. They could be paying for their wife's cancer treatment. Who knows? You know what I mean? I mean, it's, you know, maybe they just got in because they wanted to get out from all the debt they're under, you know, and that made their life whole. I mean, it is what it is. And we're going to see dumps, and then we're going to travel back up, and we're going to see dumps and travel back up no matter what. And I've been called out for saying this. It starts here and ends up here always. Every market, that's what every market has ever done. It's gone from down to up, and in between are all these emotional, you know, wiggly lines. And that's where people get wrecked and make their money, period. That's how all assets work that are traded publicly. And that's the name of the game. And if you get stuck in there, it's your own fault. It's your own fault if you get stuck in that, if you lose.
Now, I had some, you know, it's like I had family, you know, that we, you know, I got involved in Pulse, you know, Pulse and stuff. And that was kind of frustrating, of course, to be in the situation where you wait all this time. And
we all have them.
And then it's like, it's lower now. And that's a little embarrassing, you know, it's like, but hey, you know, it is, thankfully, and I'm so thankful to God, you know, that they're like, it's not like it wasn't like they just blindly got involved. They actually got involved in the community. They started watching and training, you know, learning. And so they understood that, hey, you know, buy the dip kind of a thing, where it's like, well, look, there's more opportunity to get involved, you know. And so I'm very thankful that they did. And so, but you know, it's a little, there's some little uncomfortableness there that we've experienced. And there's uncomfortableness too for folks that have been involved with it, where you didn't expect, I didn't expect it to take about 2 years, you know. And so you kind of, you make plans, and it wasn't like I was just talking like randomly. Like you make plans, and you think about these things you want to do, and then it's all based around having funds, and then
delayed. You want to be disappointed? Make plans in crypto with your money.
So it is. You just have to be, you know. So
you just have to bear through it.
Very cool.
Now,
very cool.
Since I've got you on real quick, because we've got some people starting to show up in the room. One last thing, because of who you are, because of the salt of the earth, good soul that I know you are. There's one thing I want to talk about that I don't see enough of, and I really want to put this out there into the community. I see a lot of, you know, pecking. I see a lot of, you just got muted. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Thanks, Das Bomb. I see a lot of backbiting. I see a lot of memeing. I see a lot of, you know, people not really helping lift each other up. And a rising tide raises all ships. And, you know, I've never been the guy with the most couth or the best language or the kindest soul, but I do know how to bucket fill. And I do know that people need to be lifted. And I do know that this community should be doing a lot more of that. And I don't see a lot of that. You know, we've got amazing streamers. We've got amazing people doing a lot of work out there for the community. This is the only crypto community that I've ever seen that has organically risen from the ashes of nothing. You know, Richard just put code out there for us. That was it. He never paid any of us. He never asked us to do anything. He said, it's on you. I'm giving you the tool. here it is. It's the best crypto that I've ever seen that I know that I can make. I made it for you. Now you guys go do it. I'm not going to do it. You do it. And they've all, come together, all the influencers, us ourselves. We know Richard didn't ask us to make a movie. We did that. Richard didn't ask us to make the Hex Investment Trust. We did that. Richard didn't ask us to make MCA. We did that. Richard didn't ask us to go on the tour. We did that.
Yeah.
It's a community that is grassroots, that is a real crypto community that has actually come together to market the product. And it's really easy to do when you have a good crypto product, because again, the communities out there in the XRP army and, the Doge folks, all these people, none of them are bad folks. None of them wanted to do ill. Well, I can't say none of them, but the communities in general wanted to make, crypto real, wanted to bring it to light, wanted to build communities. And those communities didn't fail those cryptos. Those cryptos failed those communities is what happened. And that's why they've never risen like the Hexicans have risen. They've never done what the Hexicans have been able to do, because everything that Richard has put out works. It works, and it's never hurt anybody. It's never been shut down. It's never stolen from anybody. It's never been asked to give the keys away. It's never done anything nefarious that these other crypto projects have done. So we have had the privilege of being able to do that. And I think that it's time that Hexicans all come together and start bucket filling each other and start talking about how good we're all doing and what we can do to improve that, because a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
Thank you, JFK.
So I would say, just to kind of summarize what you're saying there. Well, first of all, I want to attest to everything that RG was talking about, which was that there have been these people that have pioneered this community, that have really put themselves out there, that have invested so much time, energy, and effort into the community. And I mean, when you think of Hexologist talking about, sure, he thought that he was going to be able to make some money in the process because he had this referral code that he didn't even have it correct. It was like the wrong referral code or something. So, sure, he was expecting he would get something, but he really put himself out there, right? Like so the way that Richard, sought to get people involved with, part of it was, hey, be a part of it. There's a referral code. You'll at least get something, but it's going to go somewhere, right? So it's not like they're missing out because you're getting something. It's like you're both able, like you said, a rising tide floats all boats. It encourages people to get out there and produce content and educate people and promote Hex, but it also gives the other person 10%. If they would have gone straight to the site, they wouldn't have gotten any percent off, bonus. So that's how he started it. That's how I would say he did kind of motivate it in that regard, but he also motivated it by providing such a good product. But then to see where you guys have taken it is amazing. To see all the things you were doing to really, I would say, when legitimize isn't the right word, but try to get it more mainstream, maybe is the right word, right? Trying to get it more mainstream, getting it into folks that wouldn't otherwise be a part of it. When you talk about the trust and getting it into something that people can just invest in straight from a 401k, or it's being publicly traded, or getting it out there so it could be in a pool where it can receive mass adoption. And so to go to all that energy and effort and fun, I would say risk on your part, and not. I don't think that people understand the value that you're bringing to the community. And I just want to attest to that by saying, I see it. And I hope that more people see that and respect that. And then because of what you've done, it's not like they have to go and be like, and then, kiss ass and everything. It's not like to be like suck up to you and everything else. That's not what you're asking for, but you are asking to be for you to receive some respect in that regard, and not be. And I guess the other phrase that maybe that kind of helps in this is to assume the best. Like whenever I see people immediately jump on something, and it's really frustrating because they're obviously not assuming the best in someone. They're assuming the worst first, and then they're saying, prove me otherwise. It's like assume the worst and then prove me otherwise. You prove it. You put it out there and you prove that you don't have some ill intent. That's kind of how it feels on Twitter and things. Instead of, especially if someone can call someone directly. If someone has a question or a concern about something that you have done, or that you put out, or a tweet or something, then man, just do a DM, like a private DM, and say, man, what did you mean by that? Because here's how it came across. And then guess what? They could probably resolve that and be like, hey, I really appreciate you telling me that's how it came across, because that wasn't my intent. Yeah. And then, so we work together as a community. That's what I really hope to see in the community, is that people would work together more instead of having these fights on Twitter. Do more of it through direct messaging and just get it resolved, and then we come out together.
Exactly. And I'm definitely not asking for accolades. Not me. No way. I like working as the underdog. I like being the old dirty kicked around pirate. That's my lot in life. I love it.
Well, I have two things. I know we're kind of running out of time here. I see. It looks like I have two things.
I got some people to bring up.
Is that I want to invite anyone in the Houston area, or even Dallas, Austin, whatever. We're gonna be having a meetup in the Houston area, and it's going to be on the next Friday. It's next Friday night, and we'll have a meetup. We're going to have, because we're having a conference the following day, but the meetup the main thing I want to invite people to. So Kinetics will be there. Crypto Heartbeat will be there. A bunch of folks from that kind of Crypto Heartbeats channel type of stuff will be there. I think Matt Long's gonna be there. Sam Kemp, KDM. I can't think off the top of my head. Everyone's gonna be there, but there's been a great number of people to be there. So come out just for us to hang out, have a good time. It's a full meal. It's at a restaurant where we've reserved a room. So we'll have fajitas and everything. We're gonna have karaoke. So the people from the Ophir token. So they have people coming from the Philippines will be there because they'll be for the conference. Yeah. So it's a great time. So if you're anywhere near Houston, or you want to come on over, spend the night, and come to the meetup, the kind of the best place to go for that meetup. There is a Telegram group for that. But if you go to Gen Con 2020, GenCon2023.com, and Gen Con stands for Generosity Conference, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But the information for the meetup is on there, and you can go register at the Eventbrite. We really need to know how many folks are coming, because we have to put the food order in on Monday. So don't wait. Don't think, I'll RSVP on Thursday or something. We didn't know how many folks are coming for the food. So, because it's a full, and by the way, it's only $25. It's actually costing us $50 a person, but the rest of that's covered by the Right Hand Foundation.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's the meetup. So come have a great time with us. It's food and drinks, food and non-alcoholic drinks are all covered. And then if you want drinks, you just order drinks yourself. So,
sweet.
All right. Now, Gen Con tomorrow is the last day for the sign up for that. That's Generosity Conference. We're going to have some really awesome speakers that will be here present for that. And that's going to be, that's kind of it's a pretty intimate setting of a conference. It's not something real big. It's going to be held we have 50 ticket max, and I know that we have some tickets available still. So if you're interested in that, the details are on that GenCon, GENCON 2023.com. You can find the details there, and go to the Eventbrite, sign up if you're interested. That's like $150 a person, and then the spouse, if you bring your spouse, it's like $75. All meals, everything will be top notch, for that event. So super affordable for a conference. Hopefully you understand that. And the idea behind that is really helping people to remember, we talked about making plans. right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, the dream is, they want to have the dream car, the dream house, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, making those plans. But there's folks that are also already looking past that. What about past that? How can I make a difference? How can I make a generational impact on the world? And how does that, what do I want to do past the Lamborghini, right? Past Win Lambo. So the Gen Con, Generosity Conference is talking about that, talking through those concepts, also talking about how you can give in crypto versus giving straight from, taking it and having to sell the asset. Are there any organizations out there that would accept crypto and not sell it? Guess what? Like the right hand, that's what we're about. We don't want to sell. If someone donates crypto, I would say, if RH crypto, to the right hand, our goal would be to put it create an endowment with it, so that we're not actually selling down. So if somebody wanted to make $1 million donation to charity, they want to receive a tax write-off for that, they can do that through the Right Hand Foundation. And if it's a hex, we're not going to sell that puppy. We're not going to sell the price down, dump the price. We're just going to create an endowment. And then also they could, if they wanted to be able to direct where those funds go, or like if they did want to say, hey, I want to support this cause, then it can be, it's basically kind of like a donor advised fund at that point. So, I mean, that's kind of off the beaten path. So that wasn't my point of talking to you. But the point being is that there's opportunity out there for people to be generous. And Gen Con is a place where you come and understand and kind of be inspired.
Yes.
Crypto Heartbeat is helping to put that on. He'll be here. He's lined up the speakers, and we're super excited about that. So if you're interested, go to Gen Con 2023, get signed up. All right. I have one more thing.
What?
So this is actually something for you. I have a surprise for you.
Oh
so,
boy.
I'm going to be over in California, not far from you, coming up in September, I think. But I wanted to tell you that, hey, all expense paid. I wanted to take you to go onto the Baja course, and we go drive like a trophy truck for a full day. Through the like the Baja, like the Baja 1000.
The Baja 100. Well, they got the one that goes to Vegas too.
Yeah, so Baja 1000.
Right on.
This is the Baja 400 course, which they will actually have just finished that race, and so but the course will be like still available. They'll still have the flags up and everything, and we can go spin. So I want to throw that out there. I did look at your schedule, and it's actually between like Pulse Cons, and so yeah, if you're interested.
I'm interested.
Yeah. So we could go. We'll go down there and we'll go hang out. I whenever we were in Las Vegas, I had the opportunity to take K4K and Sequoia. We went out to Speed Las Vegas, and we did the trip. So I wanted to do the trophy truck, so I did the trophy truck. He wanted to do like he did like a Lamborghini or something. You get to go on the course, and then we did like this drift car where you have a professional driver, and you're in a Dodge Hellcat police super pursuit car, and he's just he literally hit the turn at 80 miles an hour, and you just go sideways. K4K. So I treated him to that, and I wanted to treat you to the something even cooler, and that's going down there for a day, spend the day down in Baja, and just go crazy.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. I appreciate it, man. That would be, as long as it doesn't wreck my back, we should be okay.
Oh yeah.
I know those things got some awesome suspension on them, but yeah, we'll see how that works.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate it, my man. All right. Well, I've got people in the room waiting to come in, so I'm going to start bringing them in. You got to ditch out, or you going to hang out, or what?
No, I can hang out.
Okay, let me bring them up. We've got my man, the Kool-Aid. What's up, buddy?
What up?
And ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the man of the hour, Diraj, the doctor. What's going on, Diraj? Do we have you, or is your internet wrecked? Unmute yourself. He's wrecked.
So I just moved to Austin last week, so I may be able to hop out there. And he said Lord of the Nipples is going to be out there as well, huh?
Yeah. Knips is going to be out there. Yep, all kinds of folks going to be running around in the Tejas area.
Yeah, get me your number when I'm not in Austin Thunderstorm right now, and I'll give you a ring, and we'll see about some other stuff, and I'll see if I can head out to Houston on next Friday.
Awesome. I'm sorry. I just realized that you were talking about next week.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just realized that it was coming next week. So, like I said,
Awesome.
I just got out here last week. So we'll see how it goes. I'm still waiting to get my stuff from California.
Okay, I got your number. I'll send you the link.
Sounds good, buddy.
So what's going on, Kool-Aid?
There is a huge tropical thunderstorm going on right now outside. It just drifted in about an hour ago, so we'll see if my apartment is floodproof.
Cool. Well, what's going on? And we've been talking about all kinds of stuff. What's going on in your mind with the with Pulse Chain and where we're at today, what we're seeing?
I mean, it's a whole bunch that we talked and kind of stepped on last week about now that liquidity has been split into almost 5 different children.
Yes.
People need to realize that how all that grows. It's like grafting a plant or something like that. Now we have all these other different things that have time to build, and people just want their instant gratification or instant realization that we have now many different foragers of apples. You remember the old Apple video. And on top of that, we have so many other protocols and projects and people delivering things within that same fledgling ecosystem. It's very exciting. And then everything going on with the tour that you're doing, stuff that you and I have talked about before, some other things that eventually when you decide to bring up, we can talk about it. But there's just a lot of interesting excitement of knowledgeable people in our ecosystem right now. And it's the perfect time to be understanding, developing, growing, and putting that effort back into looking at the ticker price. A ticker price is just looking at not even the trees, but the leaves. You've already missed the forest. So there's just a lot going on right now with Hexican-minded people, with people looking to, sorry, it sounds like a war zone out there. All the rest of the stuff going on.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's very encouraging. It's when I first opened up the stream, I talked about, Richard basically just gamed the Pulse Chain against everything else out there by adding the most robust systems to it, putting the top of the line, cutting edge crypto processes in play in Pulse Chain. That Ethereum is still, working on, struggling with, whatever. And he's put them into play. And so it's here, it's done, it's ready to go. But what's really encouraging to me is how much is being built. Like you and I both get calls daily from people building on Pulse Chain and putting new projects out. And some of the stuff that I'm hearing is just like phenomenal. I mean, this DeFi tour, I'm really excited about getting out there and talking about some of these projects as they start to come to fruition, as they start to launch on Pulse Chain, as they start to bring true DeFi to the people in an easy, simple way. And that wasn't possible until Pulse Chain came out. So I'm really, really excited about the Hexicans and the people that are, involved in the Pulse Chain launch, the products that they're building. It's really exciting.
And that's exactly right, because before, let's just take Tron, for example, back in the day, Justin Sun would tweet about Justin Sun stuff, and that just is what it was, or Block One for EOS or all the rest of that. Now we've got Maximus DAO, Hedron, Icasa.
Oh, wrecked. Lightning strike.
Boom. Hey, hey, I got a question. So while we're waiting for him to come back, I got a question for you. So, I've been pretty tied up the past couple of days, and and last night I just looked down at the at the price, and I was like, whoa, like we had a nice pop, man. So
Yeah.
I've been busy all day, and I haven't had a chance to kind of do any. Is it just a pop? Is anybody talking about what it might be from? It's some big buys coming in. People are like feeling like this, that we hit the bottom is in it, because we hit the 30 day, past the 30 days.
It's probably, that 30-day window's passed, where we've seen the same thing happen in Hex, and we started to see moves Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to move back down again. That doesn't mean we're not going to see sells and whatnot. There's people there with orders so that you can go look at the order books. But I mean, it's going to ebb and flow, and it's not going to forever go down. It's not going to just keep going down. We're going to see it ebb and flow. People are going to get in when they need to get in. And again, we haven't seen the big whales get in yet. We haven't seen whales start buying. That's when Hex really started to, started to moon, is when we've seen a whale or two finally take interest and say, okay, it's time. It's my turn. And then they start moving the price in a direction that creates that FOMO.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense that people, because you figure that they're. So here was whenever I was looking at Pulse, I was looking at this 2 years, of waiting, and I'm like, man, I know there's a lot of people that were waiting that wanted to get involved in Pulse, and my assumption, incorrect was that people would get involved right away, but that doesn't make any sense. It makes sense that they would rather. They were smart enough to realize that it was going to dump, and so in doing so, and so waiting for a month, hopefully now those folks that were waiting for 2 years to get involved that didn't get involved. I mean, there's some big name folks that I know personally through Funding Gym that wanted to get involved. They were like, "How do I get involved?" And I said, "Well, you can't. It's too late. You missed the window, right?" And then, and so those guys now they can get involved, but. If Gary was talking to them, Gary might have said, "Well, you might want to wait and see what happens." Right? That's I haven't talked to Gary, but my assumption is he might have said, "Well, you missed it, but you might want to wait, because it might go down first, and if it does, you might want to wait 30 days." So maybe there's a bunch of folks that are sitting there waiting that are now going to start putting in, and if that's so, that's pretty exciting. I had a question I want to talk, but I'll wait. I'll let Crypto finish his. Kool-Aid finishes train of thought.
Yeah,
well,
telling us,
sorry.
You cut out after you said there was Hedron and whatnot.
Right. Yeah. So essentially, we have all these other fledgling ecosystems that have Richard Hart ideals at mind and at play and at utility, and everything's now building on that exact same ecosystem at the exact same time. Just like Richard was saying, like you normally don't get a layer one with a DEX. With all the other tooling and features at the exact same time, and you have to let that mature and grow. Along with all the other people building, and what I was talking about, Justin Sun, or the other talking heads that they tweet and people react, Space Karen, Elon Musk, all the rest of that type of stuff. We now have people building that has nothing to do, well, it's inherited of knowledge from the people that we were inspired by and the people that we built through. So that in itself will grow larger farms of fields. If we want to go back to the old apple tree analogy from the first year, and that when that matures will be a completely different type of ecosystem. You don't see people having hundreds of streams on meme coins. They just cover it grossly or inconsequently. But we have Hexicans building Hexican ideals everywhere now, and that can't be forked. And that is what we have is an unforkable army of knowledge moving forward, doing tours, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, even if somebody wanted to, think about it. We're already 10 steps ahead. Building on Pulse Chain is the thing to do. It's, trying to go and do something completely different is like, why? It's here. Build on it. Do it here. Now everybody can put their ideas to work and go get stuff done because Richard did it. And yeah, it took him some time, but we all know how Richard operates. He makes sure that what he puts out is going to be a quality product. We haven't seen any downtime. There was hardly any flaws. And I don't think that some of the things that we may have thought were flaws. I think they were built into the system intentionally. That's just my take on it. So, it's time to build. Get out there and build. Well, I mean, they are. They're building all over. I cannot wait to see. Look, what's really, really exciting is that while the world is focused on the shit show that is crypto, with the decentralized exchanges going down, with CZ, on the lam, with FTX and Sam in jail, getting ready to do life in prison. I mean, that circus doesn't belong to us. That is like we are so separated from that.
Mm-hmm.
We're completely removed. It's like crypto has been reinvented and we've got it in our hands. Like we got the tiger by the tail, guys. We got the tiger by the tail. And it's going to be so exciting to see that whole circus like destroy itself or do whatever it's going to do. And while we grow and build and move forward with a product that is, they can't turn it off. They can't stop it. Richard couldn't stop it or turn it off if he wanted to. It's out there now. And it's finally true DeFi. And I think this was the thing that they've always been afraid of really happening because they don't have control of it. The centralized exchanges don't have control of it.
Mm-hmm.
And once we get that on-ramp, off-ramp thing completed, or we start seeing people accept good crypto for goods and services, that'll be the end all be all. That'll be game over, set and match, checkmate. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I think that we've won. We have won.
I just saw in the chat he's going to jump over onto his phone.
Oh.
So question for you: what do you think about Ink Token?
What do I think about it? I think that it's being underplayed right now. I think that you have to look at history. The only history I have is other tokens that are like it. I watched what their movements were, and of course they came out of the gate and they took their dive, and then boom, those things went to the moon. I mean, you look at Quick Token. Go look at Quick Token's history on the Matic network, and I saw that thing just go nuts. And here we go. Pull them back up. I saw that thing go nuts, and I think that people are underestimating Ink Token and what it can and possibly will do. And who knows what Richard may do with it? Who knows what it may be hooked to, or what it's going to do in the future? So I wouldn't be looking past Ink Token right now. That's for sure. It's definitely something you want in your bag. And I've accumulated some myself. That's for sure.
I definitely would. I mean, I'd love to hear someone that's real technical, that's really delved into the contract and everything. Cause like, I was talking with one gentleman that did read the contract, and he was talking about that it has a governance aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember that there was a talk about, and initially there was going to be this governance within PulseX, where PulseX was going to be, and basically deciding which I don't know if it's basically which tokens would be launched or which tokens would be received the incentivized in the pools and those type of things. So if it comes down to that the Ink Token has pull in that regard, like which things are being allowed to be pooled and basically be in the farms, and if, like say for example that you have a token that's that you'd like to see being incentivized, and the only way that you can is you get enough support for that by people that hold the Ink Token to basically vote for you or something. I don't know. Is something like that? If that'd be pretty cool to see that. And then if that was the case, then you'd have people that launch tokens would have to buy a bunch of ink in order to have enough to vote for themselves, were they, anyway, just, what do you think, Kool-Aid?
I think you could do a lot more than that. A lot more. So the proposition of what ink can do has not even been written in stone yet. The only thing that you know is what its half-life is going to be in between when its happening is, and what pools are being dictated, possibly by design, possibly by chance, possibly by perfect storms. Because without the virus, no one would have been here streaming together. We wouldn't have all gotten to know each other. Perfect storms are very interesting. So as a utility of what you could do with INC, whether he binds it to the wallet or something else that other people type to do. Because remember, both Aave and Liquidity were two things before people forked them and moved them to Pulse Chain to execute on an instrument of mechanics. I think a lot of those things can be brokered and built into the future. It's just people aren't looking forthright at those tools and mechanics that are available. And I think I could talk to you about technicals, but then I lose people. But the difference is you have the silence, but those are correct mechanics, right? I always say I'm a Richard Hart idealist, but I'm a mechanics maximalist because that's my job. And if you look at the mechanics, you see there's ripe opportunity for both bonded liquidity. It's like the same way that if people don't realize that if Pulse Chain does well, P Hex and PT share, the most important part, does well, then that notoriety, you can have bonded liquidity between bridged assets of EX and PHEX, both on either sides of the chain, to then use Hart's Law against them. And then theoretically, you'll have bonded ET share and PT share. And those things will move in tandem, especially as we build on-ramps like what Coast is doing, or systemic node-based stuff, which is what Tetra is doing, which absolutely excites me more than anything, because that's my day job. These things will allow onboarding, utility, and hopefully more education, which I know is what RG's biggest thing is education, to just teach beyond not what to buy, but why. When we teach people how that works, that's different from operating a car and driving a car. They're two very different fundamentals.
Exactly. And that's what we need to teach the general public. Now we need our devs. We need our guys that can get under the hood. We need the mechanics. We need the guys that know how to do all that stuff. Mm-hmm. We need race car drivers that can go out there and drive these things and put them on the road that Richard has built. And that's the most important education, I think, to the general public, not to the devs, not to the freaking, geek brains out here, but to the general public. They need to understand how to utilize these tools and put them in their lives in the same capacity that everything else that has been out there has done, because there's nothing new under the sun. All of these tools are the same tools that human beings have been using in finance forever. These are just better. They're code that can be programmed to do things right. And finally, somebody pulled their head out of their ass in crypto, which was Richard, and said, I'm going to do this right. I am tired of everybody doing it wrong. If nobody's going to do it, I'll do it. And he did. And he proofed it with Hex. And then he said, okay, well, now let's put a track for it to ride on, and let's build Pulse Chain. Okay, well, let's give it a pit stop, and let's build Pulse X. And that's what he did. And now you guys go out and drive it. Go out and drive it. You don't have to know. If you want to be a mechanic, fine. Go out there and you want to validate and do all these other things and learn how to geek out on it and make some money here and there, then fine. Go do your due diligence and learn and do those things. But the general public, the real people out there, need to understand how important these tools are to them in their lives and their financial well-being, because it is finally here. We can do decentralized finance. We can bank outside of the banking system, outside of the governments. We can do it now. We have all the tools. The only thing that we have issue with now is on-ramp, off-ramp, or the exchange of goods and services with crypto. And that's just going to take adoption. And adoption couldn't happen before. There's a reason why it hasn't happened, because all of this stuff, 99.9% of the cryptos were crap. Nobody wants crypto. Nobody wants to exchange, a car for crypto. There's very few companies that will do that nowadays. There were a lot that tried, and then they, forget that. The price is too volatile. Give me a stable coin. Well, shoot, just give me $1 then. Why give me a stable coin? So as soon as we can stabilize the system, as soon as we have true DeFi, as soon as people start getting confident of actually taking crypto for goods and services, then we'll have something. When we can off ramp and go into cash and out of cash and into crypto with a click versus, oh my God, I got a bridge. Oh my God, I got to go find an exchange to change this through. Oh my God, did I do it right? Oh no, this exchange isn't working. Do I have to do the freaking squid trade? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? What can I do? What can I do? It's scary. Like Matcha stopped working. Now, been in crypto since the beginning. Matcha stopped working for me the other day. I'm on the phone with Larry. I'm going, hey dude, what do I do here? I'm trying to make a trade. I heard about this cow swap thing. Well, I don't know, man. I don't know if it works or not. It hasn't worked for some people, and some people it works great. And when you click that button, there's apprehension, man. I mean, no matter how long you've been in. I mean, I've lost money doing a click. I've
Yeah.
clicked and lost some serious money.
You know
And that's
what
just recently.
you know what you made me
So-
think of? So
What's
what
that?
you made me think of is that whenever you there's so much in the Richard Hart ecosystem, and what's expanded past that, what's this other generation of all this other dApps and apps and everything and technology built on top of it. But it's almost like you kind of should you can kind of boil it down to some different types of investors, so to speak, right? People that want some exposure. And if you look at something from a simplicity standpoint, somebody that's getting involved that says, you know what, I don't have time to learn all this stuff. I just want something that's going to do better than everything else I've been doing for the past 20 years, right? I want to have some exposure outside of the system. So then you just focus on Hex, right? Buy it. Now is such an amazing time to buy it. Buy it when it's so low. Stake it, build your staking ladder, and then keep your day job and just focus on your day job and just keep putting in when you can, right? And you basically just it's something that's allowing you to win the lottery in slow motion, as some people like to say, right? And it's just a way of winning, and just keep doing your day job, but focus. But this is like a nice, easy way to do it. You don't have to learn all the ins and outs and all the different exchanges and going across bridges and all this stuff. And then you have the kind of the next person that says, you know what, I'm young, I'm technical, I can learn this stuff, I like it, I'm interested, and I would like to get a little bit more involved in doing things like diversifying. You know, they like Hedron, they like doing something, and they kind of get involved in some of the. They obviously have their Hex stake, but they're also working on how to even get some more cheaper Hex stakes by buying, working in Hedron, Icosa, and all this. And then you have folks that are really, a lot more technical that have an affinity to want to learn, just get real technical and see the future, and they want to just take this thing to infinity and beyond, like Kool-Aid, right? And they like all this technology, and they want to take it to the nth degree, And I guess there's actually one other kind of person I could see. And when I say to the nth degree, I'm talking about they want to really maximize. They're willing to, there's like, I want to quit my day job as soon as possible. I want to get busy where I could be working and earning and all these different platforms and doing all these things so that I can quit my day job. There's those folks. But there's also folks out there that I would say that are maybe they have more disposable income, or they have more money they could put. They say, you know what, decentralized finance is the future. I'm interested in that. I understand that when you look at these exchanges, they were making lots of money off of trading, and that money can be made by me, right? They can put their money, and they can be a liquidity provider. They still have a job that they want to keep, and they want to be making they're an attorney, they're a doctor, right? They're making big money, or maybe they're an investor or real estate, whatever. They're financially independent, but they want to put their money to work in decentralized. Well, now those folks need to get involved in being liquidity providers, where they can put big amounts of money to sit there. They like both assets, and they're going to be making yield. So if it's V1, now they're making incentive token. If it's V2, they're making, the two things that they like. They just paired them against each other, and they're just going to sit there and watch their bags grow. So there's so much opportunity for different folks in our space. And I guess, I didn't really think about. A lot of folks just get overwhelmed. Like they're like, I don't even know where to start, right? I have to learn all this stuff where I can't even get involved in putting money into a MetaMask account or to do a MetaMask transaction. But they don't have to learn everything. Do the simple thing if that's all you know how to do. So get started.
Yep.
Well, I think there's also. Go ahead, sir.
Well, the simplest thing is to hold. The second thing is to learn how to stake your Hex. I mean, those two things right there, that tool is the best tool in crypto for the newbie, for the person coming in, because it's immutable, trustless interest that you can make on your money, period. It is the bar none best product that has ever been offered to the crypto space is Hex. E-Hex or P-Hex. P-Hex is probably the piece de la resistance. It's the best out of the best. Why? Because it's on a good chain that's cheap, and you can, if you're new and you're coming in, why not do it over there? But all hex is good for crypto. Period. End of story. And everybody has the opportunity to now go and operate true DeFi. No middlemen. You're making yield. And you're not waiting for price to go up, price to go down, try and trade, try and sit on the other side of a screen and beat somebody else out of their money. You're making your own money your way. You set the groundwork, you set the time limits, you set the amount that you put in, and that's it. It's that simple. And real quick, we have 107 people on the stream. This stream is not a closed stream. It's open for you to come in. We are vetting people a little bit more these days because of some of the things that happen, but come on in and join the conversation if you'd like.
And this is a conversation, no financial advice.
Well, I mean,
it's never been financial advice here.
Yeah.
It's always been crypto advice. It's always been how to make more hex. Period. End of story. I know how to tell you how to make more hex. I have not wrecked one single person because I've told them the only thing you have to do, or you should do, is if you want more of something, then you stake your hex. Period. And you're going to make more hex. Automatic. I don't know what the price of it's going to be, but if you want more of it, I can tell you how to get more of it for nothing. Just waiting, and you're going to get more hex. Automatic. End of story.
It's simple mechanics. And at the end of the day, people just want to look at the cheap way out, which is they don't want to put the time and the effort in, but everything is mechanics. If we kind of go back to people, let's say back in our day, right, when AOL, CompuServe, you could use Trumpet WinSock and Netscape to connect to the internet. Was it pleasant? No. But anyone that understood that at that time, when you already had the internet on your iPhone, not your BlackBerry, because that one sucked, the time to make the money in Google was over. All of that was done. And so you have to look at the amount of usability that if your grandma can do it, yes, now the majority of onboarding is there. However, that's why there's a recreational investor and an institutional investor. The people on the Ethereum side or the OG Golden Globe of T-shares will probably not care about gas prices, but they're going to be able to see what happens on the Pulse Chain side with the community, the virality, and the binding utility between both, and the understanding that these people have, whether they're, A-class understanders or, C or B class understanders. It doesn't matter. We all try to teach and help. And the same thing is when we were talking about race car drivers earlier, we need more people to be buses, not race car drivers, because that gets the most people on board on the train at the same time. And what we need is good UI UX. We need good delivery of these things. And all of it's still fledgling, right? I've been building games 16 years. Bitcoin isn't even 16 years old. Has games dramatically changed over 16 years? Dramatically. I can see where we are now with smart contracts, interoperability, a good community, and how we're changing immutable yield, knowledge, and data through that through point. Oh, yes. So that is something that it is your responsibility, not as an investor, as a human, to learn that knowledge is the most expensive token in the world. And you have the choice to take a very easy route in the HOV lane on a bus, or if you want to be operating the race car or a tractor trailer, or anything else you want to drive yourself in. The commitment is up to you, period.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to address my good friend, T-Bird. T-Bird, I'm speaking in a generality right now, and let me clarify so that I can make your point also, because you are 100% correct. Just staking, and it's not a FOMO narrative. What I'm speaking of here is what Hex is at its core. Hex makes more Hex. Period. End of story. So at its core, the new person needs to understand that that's what Hex is, that it is a token, just like any other token that can be transferred back and forth to people immutably on the internet, peer-to-peer, without any intermediaries. But it's uniquely different because it makes more of itself just being itself and you operating the function within Hex. Now, if you go back to the earliest streams that we all did, I was the first person talking about CD laddering, because I understood what that was at the time. And I started talking about laddering your stakes early. I started talking about that. I also started talking about putting 15-year blocks out there versus just throwing all of your whole wad out at 15 years. I also talked about making event stakes. So yes, there is a strategy in staking. Don't get me wrong. But at its core, that's what Hex is. It makes more Hex, not a FOMO narrative. And yes, you do need to do, as you get in and you do start to stake your Hex, you are going to want to look at streams, look at strategies, and see what's going to fit you best. Because even though it is just crypto, it's not technically real currency. We are just trading a digital asset. Knowing what your strategy is, and everybody is different. Everybody has a different time horizons. You know, a 55-year-old guy has a different time horizon and a different strategy than a 22-year-old young man, or a mother of 30 that has, 3 kids and no husband at home. Everybody has a different strategy, and you need to figure out for yourself what that's going to be. And you can use time-tested tools in the real world that make that your reality. You don't have to find something crypto new under the sun. It is all the same old time-tested investment strategies that you need to utilize that fit your situation. And everybody is different. So everybody's ladders are going to look different. Everybody's investment is going to look different. Everybody's DCA strategy is going to look different. Some people have a big, wad to put in. Some people have to DCA in every week for long periods of time. Everybody has to look at their situation, their time horizon, and their risk situation. And never, ever, 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 ever over leverage yourself or put yourself in a position where the rent money's due and you've put it all in crypto. You cannot put yourself in that position. These are investment assets, and that is not a time-tested way of investing. That is FOMO. That is reckless, and that can get people hurt. And I think a lot of people have been hurt in that, because that's the old way crypto's been done. We've always talked about being responsible, and we've always talked about doing the right thing for yourself. Don't just go and do what somebody else has done. And that's what I have a problem with a lot of these streamers that, say, hey, this is what you should do, and this is how you should do it, because everybody's different. Not everybody can do what you're doing. Not everybody can go in and provide liquidity. Not everybody can go and put their own validator up together and put it up and provide the service that's required in order for it to run and make more crypto for you. You have to do your research and understand what your risk situation is and what your personal situation is.
So I can't see T-Bird's comment, but he's a blood brother. But they're with phone, and I think the war zone stopped outside. But if you start to think about crypto and its opportunity in the same way you do your Social Security, people that are older and closer to getting Social Security probably realize it doesn't meet inflation. They're trapped. But guess what? They paid Social Security for 40, 50. How many more years? Now they want 67 to make sure you can undo it. It's going to be the same thing with 401ks. However, with Social Security, you didn't get an option on what you had. You just had to pay it to get paid. So
Larry,
at the end of
let me correct you. I looked at mine the other day. They changed it to 104K now. That's what
Jesus
mine
Christ.
is.
So
it might even be an 04K right about now, but it's definitely not a 401K anymore.
Right. But what I'm saying is that you don't pay with your 401k for a cup of coffee, but you also are putting into it, if you're lucky enough to have a company that matches you 3 to 6%. Like I just had the giant.
Huge. That was a huge deal. That was good.
That was the best you could get, because look at the interest rate, matching, co-bonded, but you also had to have it vested. So for example, if people don't know, 80% of my studio got laid off the day Pulse Chain launched. It happens every 2.5 years. I've mentioned why gaming sucks and all the rest of that, but because like RG knows me moving 3 different times now since we've been friends. This is just what I have to do to survive, because that is my industry. It gives me a competitive advantage to look at mechanics. However, your 401k, if you're lucky enough to be at a company for 6 years where their vesting actually matches, then you're good. Otherwise, they take your 401k because your position was eliminated. Didn't mean I did anything wrong. However, that money that I had is now gone, and it's gone. And so that's just the next level beyond Social Security. And so if you're utilizing these tools as a young buck, someone that's young, millennial, on their TikToks and likes social media, you have plenty of time to build a comprehensive, let's call it personal ETF, on how you compound your yield to yourself with your own values. Someone that's a little more conservative may not understand the tech. They can do a very more simplistic way of understanding, and they don't have to go full bore into all the complexities. That is your decision on how much involved you want to be. It's just like it's your decision. If we go back to driving a bus, B-class license, driving a semi-truck, A-class license, having someone in a taxi, a P4 on your license, or just operating the vehicle correctly. That is your choice. And you have these options now because it's not just centralized finance. It's social networking of information. It's bonding of communities and things that pull people up. All of that has never happened besides this epoch of time. It is almost like the internet 2.0 with things that even the legacy finance people have to deal with, which is what we look at from Gensler, Powell, or all the rest of this stuff, that the old tricks no longer work. And if you're not paying attention to those, that is also not our problem. You're already paying Social Security. You're lucky if you get a 401k with matching.
Yep, 100. 100. And in my day, that was the investment tool, period. Like you weren't getting a better deal. And now, you know, the gig is up. We know that they took, it's been a consistent robbing of the average person. From what we talked about earlier, the taxation by devaluing or inflating our dollars. They've tried time and time again to steal the biggest tranches of money, which is Medicare and Social Security, from the people that it was, you know, meant for. Not that those things have been, you know, they've been good tools. Don't get me wrong. They've saved a lot of lives. They've helped a lot of people. But they've been trying to whittle those things down and take them away from the working class person. And if you look at the productivity of the working class person, we've literally hockey sticked over the last, 30, 40 years. And our productivity has gone up, but the value of our dollar, the old pensions that we used to get, which were good, pensions were good. People were able to retire off of those.
It was the 401k, the 401k, sir. Like the pension was the better version in the older generations. Like your father or anyone that had pensions, you were good.
Well, the capitalists, the vulture capitalists said, no, we want a piece of that pie. Let's put it in the stock market. We're going to give you more because we're going to put more risk out there. Well, we all know what happens is if you're retiring and the markets collapse, you're in a world of hurt, and I've seen it with, within my own family, like, the generation before me, the uncles and the aunts and those people, my fathers, they, the 401ks have just, got diminished and their retirements are gone. They're all working, at McDonald's and stuff to make ends meet. They're all crossing guards to make ends meet. It's really been a smashing of the middle class. And that's why I'm excited for this, because it makes a level playing field. And being at the age I am myself and Danny here, we understand, we've seen this happen to us, and what we've had to do was, realize that what is the only tool, and not everybody got this. Very few people got this. The only tool that we had that was going to combat that was becoming an entrepreneur or finding a way to get out of that rat race that was going nowhere. It was a train heading towards a block wall, You know, we saw it and we go, the only way out of this is to become an entrepreneur and step out of that train. And even that is a struggle. And a lot of people that become entrepreneurs don't make it. You know, I think it's like 90% don't make it past the first 5 years. So you have to be smart. You have to be lucky. You have to work hard in order to make that thing work. And a lot of people didn't make it. They didn't make it off the train. Some of us did. And I think it's our job, those of us who were on the train, who understood what was happening, who were part of that great productivity, need to be able to show these other people, hey, there is another way off of that train. And DeFi crypto appears to me to be that off-ramp, to be that escape route, to be the thing that can get people, instead of having to go into entrepreneurialism, to take and invest in something that is going to be the greatest exchange of wealth that the world has ever seen, and utilize it. And now the tools are here that we can, and we can do it safely and securely. And that's what I'm excited for. And that's what the Pulse Chain Tour is about, is getting out there and showing people true DeFi and the fact that they could use those tools to get off that damn train.
Yeah, and so I had to write down this because I didn't want to lose these notes, because it speaks explicitly to what you were saying. If you're an entrepreneur, you may succeed, but you're already operating at a loss of 5 years, period. And so if you can't take a 5-year loss to build something of your own accord, whether that's washing sidewalks or lawns or whatever your tech business is, and you know that it takes 5 years to get in profit, you don't understand that looking at something within 4 months of something launching is ludicrous. However, pensions, you believed that if you work for someone for 30 years, I did not quit. I bled with you as a good little slave or a good little ant or dodo bird, that I would have the funds to be able to have that liquidity to be able to pay against inflation. But yet 401k takes it one step further. You're now believing in other people's ETFs, liquidity bonding, whatever you want to call a 401k based on your risk to ratio versus when you get taken out or not, is a completely different level than everyone having the tooling to be their own bank, be their own DEX, be their own wallet, be their own binded liquidity on yield. The difference is most 401k managers are going to tell you what to do because they have the air quote financial advisor thing. Now we have the entire world of knowledge at our fingertips. And because of that, you can do what you want with your own money, with your own exit strategy, with your own ladder or understanding of your age bracket to final through bracket on what you want to do. If you have, like you said, a 30-year-old with 3 kids, your input mechanism of inflection or fiat in may be vastly different than if you're working with a 70-year-old bag that, or 70-year-old's bag that can barely afford rent, or a 21-year-old that can go work 2 different jobs to put that in at minimum wage. Many different variables, but never before now did you have all of those available at the user level, the root level, the genesis level. Before, it was all smoke, mirrors, and you were lucky if you got a pension. You were lucky if you got a 401k with matching, if you could stay at that company for so many times. And you were lucky if you even had that availability, because once they take away your healthcare, you're done. As you know, student loan debt slave. Once you take the next tier up with the glass ceiling, take away your education, then you have no voice and you have no knowledge, which is just as bad because they funnel you right back into the meat grinder. So I think very important things to understand the difference between our fathers or our grandfathers based on where you are in life, pension to 401k to actual utility. Because once you could take a greenback and exchange it for gold. They actually had to have gold somewhere to do it. Now you can't even get a bank run because even Gensler says we already have digital currencies. It's the digital yuan, it's the digital dollar, it's all the rest of that. But yet it's manipulated right in front of our eyes. Difference.
Yep. 100. Hey, look at that. E-Hex is back up at a penny.
I think, again, people keep looking at spot hex. When we give 6 months to mature, if I'm going to run one of my what the fuck Larry simulations, I would be curious to see what the payout is between 6 months. Because as you were talking about earlier, you were one of the first people to do ladders. How long ago did we talk about making a game based on a t-shirt? 3 years? All the rest of that? wild. And that's when EHEX had one payout per T-share, and it was only $30 a T-share. If I run my simulation in my head, I would love to see a 6-month, a 1 year, and a 5-year differential on how that payout varies, and then how institutional money sees what does on one side and then binds against it. And just like the God Whale candle from way back in the day, or when Grayscale created the Grayscale Trust, what happens with that differential? It's going to be fascinating, because almost everything else from our ecosystem is either T-share binded or T-share minded. And that is very important.
The T-share.
Hey, so I don't remember how much of the conversation that Kool-Aid was part of when we were talking about ink. First of all, hey, I think we should define that we call the incentive token the ink token, just because it makes the most sense. But I've heard people call it different things. What do you call it?
I mean, I call it ink, but ideally it's incoming, because the technical mechanics are incoming. Maybe someone like me could build something with it. I don't know.
Incoming instead of incentive. Okay. Okay. So, but I mean, you were kind of cutting in and out during when we were talking about that, and so I guess one of the things that I was curious to hear was kind of beyond. I mean, that's right. I know you were. That's right. You pretty much defined what you thought about it. I guess my thinking is, if we were to encourage someone that is, should we encouraging someone that's, let's say someone's kind of middle of the road with their bag. I have a friend. Okay, that's my brother. Okay, and my brother, he was wanting to know, like, so his question, and this is a valid question. He's like, should I take my Pulse and Pulse X and put them in the pool, and if so, should I put it in V1 or V2, right? So he's like, where should I be putting it right now? I don't know. I mean, I can do the math and tell him which I did give him a number on how much he can be earning with ink token with his bag. And I told him, hey, here's what you need to do. If you want to do that, you divide it up. So you have basically 2.5 times as much, Pulse X as you do Pulse, because that's pretty much what it is right now, like 2.4. And put that in there in liquidity pair, and then put in the farm, and then put it in. Anyway, I can explain that to him. But my question, in general, is someone that's that in kind of middle of the road size bag, is that what they should be doing? Would you recommend?
No. Well, I can explain it simply or complexly, and my simple is very complex.
Let's go simple.
All right, so we're gonna try for simple. I'm going to try, RG. I'm going to try. If you understand how ICASA and Hedron works, because you have a T-share, you get Hedron, correct? Now, if you have Hedron and you stake it, you get ICASA. If you take your Hedron and possibly take your wrapped HSIs and sell it to the ICASA contract, which auto buys it, then you have a mechanism to create Hedron, ICASA, right? So that one loop works. If nobody sends stuff to the ICASA Hedron, I was talking with the ICASA system, Sloth and I were talking about it earlier, it doesn't pause the mechanism. It just means it needs a little bit more gas to top on off. Ink doesn't have all of those things into it yet, except what it does have. I mean, I've been out of work, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? So at this point, Pulse Chain is maybe a month old. Because Pulse Chain launch date will always be the 7th time I've been sacrificed to the loop of fire of game dev. But Ink itself is managed by the master chef. Who knows who this guy is? But he is managing the liquidity pools. At this point, the only thing that we know is that you are having a permanent loss if or then based on what you want more. Do you want more Ink, or do you want more Pulse, Pulse X, Hex, whatever you're using to bind against V1 for that percentage of value? However, the use case and utility of Ink has not been seen yet. We know that it's a nested family of Richard Hart portfolio, an ETF, if you will, a glomming of an index. I'm sorry if I use the word ETF wrong. It's a glomming of an index on what everything is pooled together. So what I would say to someone that didn't want to have the very in-depth bullet point conversation that I could give them a real complex answer is, if you can piece apart part of your portfolio and you leave it in that ecosystem, what do you get? 2 Richard Hart projects. Now, what could be built on those Richard Hart projects? Well, we already have a fork of Liquidity for liquid loans for a layer 1. We already have a fork of Liquidity for Earn Protocol of Power City for their DAX. Who knows what could bind into this? But we do know the half-life is 1 year. And then after that, the half-life cuts off. So when people talk about low cap or circulating supply, they're buzzwording, just like game theory, just like blockchain technology, or all the rest of that. They're not looking at the ratios. If they have whatever bag it is, let's just have a round number of 1 million units. I don't care what token you want to apply it to. If you want to take 100,000 of those units and apply that to a liquidity pool, and you can harvest and hold that for as many cycles or tiers, the value of ink or the married token could go up and down. So you're making fees off all that, but you're also making ink, not fees. The ink value, based on what someone that may or may not know something about mechanics could bind onto that, that's vastly different. Or Richard himself, or anyone else. We all have the freedom to build our utility based on what our knowledge input is for. The question that frustrates me a little bit, and no tip at the top for you to ask a question, because we should ask these questions. That's why we all take a village to raise someone. Is what is the value now and what is the opportunity now? If in, what was it, 98, you could have bought Google at IPO price of, what is it, $400, you'd be doing pretty good. If you could have bought Apple before they became old fucking silly little boxes in high schools and the iPod and the iPhone were there, you'd be doing pretty good. The question is you're not looking at anything, you're looking to purchase something. So, I mean, your friend Sami says, take a particular position on things, understand what's going on, and even have an exit out. If you're pulling in the pools, I can harvest it anytime that I want. And then I can pull my liquidity in those pools. And then based on the ratio of what those is, I made that commitment based on the ratio. But I can harvest those pools at any time that I want. So I would say understand those parameters, just like you would understand your matching 401k with a 6-year vested time, or that you can't take Social Security now 67, 76, whatever the government decides to do, when we're old enough to be actual taking what we're already being harvested for. Liquidity for fees is based on volume. Liquidity in between projects is based on utility. Vastly different as more utility is built on things, because you can make a pool for anything. But what I believe the master chef and those people are doing is creating the tenement of knowledge for people to execute and have this before the 1 year having it. And if that's the case, you should probably possibly be harvesting that pool for 3 years. I say 2 years, no touchy all the time, because that is a cycle in Bitcoin. It's a cycle within game dev. It's a cycle within many, 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 many things. And so if I know that I'm providing liquidity regardless of where I am on that ecosystem, as more things are built on PulseX or Pulse or the DEX ecosystem. Look at the fork of PHUX, which is now a banker fork of liquidity binding to bind all Icosa projects together, to bind Richard Hart projects together, to bind all the rest of that. There's just a limited opportunity to get incentive. And so for me, what I did is I put a particular percentage of my bag and be like, I'll see you in 3 years, buddy. But I can harvest it anytime I want. But when I remove my liquidity, that's when I've committed my ratio.
Yeah,
what I
ratio.
am,
yeah,
right. That's it. The difference between ratio and what you're earning as in harvest. It's not fees. It's a utility that some may or may not build on in the future. And that is your own risk, whether you want to buy Apple or a penny stock. That is your decision to make. But because it's part of the Richard Hart ecosystem, it's a tool that maybe not be fleshed out yet. Let's take that one step further. Again, sorry, I'm trying to be simple. If we think that the S load hasn't been fixed in Pulse yet, but the fees are cheap because everyone cried, when Pulse chain, I want to cry. All right, it's out. Now you're crying because things may or may not have been done to your level of excellence. Stop crying or stop demanding. Either way, good. The fact that we're running on two parallel railroads of what Ethereum 2.0 and Pulse Chain is working as, we can borrow and build as that ecosystem advances. But there were so much people whining and crying that things weren't done yet. but they weren't builders. They were just complainers. And so at the end of the day, things can be tooled, merged and forked in different ways. Forking is a bad word because we think about it differently in crypto than it is when I think of it in game dev. But things can be evolved and merged in to have it, but now we have everything that we need. And so from there, think about how Trumpet WinSocket's internet was different from AOL. However, if you're holding AOL or as an email or holding MySpace as something, are you a fool or were you early and just not caring? All of that is interesting if we look on how it builds. So that would be my advice is Ink, I think, will have a lot more value. But the question is how long do you let it go? Because if Ink actually has bonded builded utility, just like Liquidity did between two different forks, or Aave did for Buck and Fiat, and then moved on to Bancor and moved on to MCX or whatever that other protocol is. Sorry. But those type of things are how you bind in things on top of each other. Ink is a Richard Hart token and is curated by this master chef. Whether that's Richard or a high dev or someone else, completely irrelevant. What it is understanding the farm to market table that we're having this ecosystem. You're early because you know the farmer and you are the market. You're no longer someone that orders something on DoorDash or gets a convenience. So that's what I would say. And then take that into its time management on what you would be if you invested in Google at IPO. Same issue.
We're at the primordial goo stage of DeFi crypto.
I'd like to see more people hold it. You know, like you talk about the situation where it will be something that I mean, what was it doing on the testnet? I mean, it was sky high on the testnet, right? And then
it was sky high on the mainnet in the beginning, but then children got scared.
Yeah. But so you look at I kind of look at that and say, look at that kind of like Bitcoin and people selling it, basically selling it for pennies on the dollar, in my opinion. But and if you look at all the trades that are going on, most of them are small. I mean, like people, they'll earn a little bit and then just dump it, earn it, dump it, earn it, dump. So they're going all this trouble to farm it and then just dump it. It's like, dude, just hold it. I mean, you're going to the trouble of farming it, hang on to it. And when you hang on to it, the value will go up. I've heard, so there's a good friend that's a OG Hexican. His view from day one is the Ink token is just a forever dump token. And I was like, dude, I don't agree with that whatsoever, because I'm like, Richard Hart doesn't make crap. I mean, you're basically saying that he decided to make a crap coin, a forever dump token. And so I don't agree with that concept. I think that he builds fundamentals into everything. Everything he's going to build, he builds it with excellence. And so look at that, dude. If you're going to the trouble of farming Ink, stop selling it. Just hang on to it. Do yourself a favor and put it away. Just treat it like Hex and don't sell it.
The utility hasn't been built onto it yet. And, I talk a lot of riddles and analogies, and I know RG loves my riddles and analogies, loves them. But like, if you take one wheel, is it useful at all? No. If you put two wheels on the side of something, it's a sled or it's off balance. If you have four wheels, it's a utility. And so there was another prominent Hexican, a very good friend of mine, that said Hedron was a dump forever token. Well, Alex had a lot more in bag to unpackage, and you're looking too close to something that you don't understand the value in. And I believe that is going to be a Guy Fawkes problem for many people going forward. And that's why we're all here. That's why RG's going on the tour. That's why we're upping production value. We're trying to actually, not me.
Oh, that's what's going on.
It was not me for once. It was not me for once.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good, sir.
It was a tail wagon.
Yeah. And I mean, I have two large Panthers, so I understand. They've already learned how to open closet doors and like all the rest of that.
Your cats are the only cats I know that can get in and out of rooms on their own. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen.
They're hamburgers. They're basically the hamburger. I realized that I would have the crazy cat that could do that, but yes. So again, we always, from the very beginning, went with each one, teach one. And it really is the itemized thing from even Plato is learn how to play. Don't be played. If you learn how to play, you'll learn more from a conversation with them by playing with them than talking to them. And even Plato also said, Corey quotes to think better than me, is that if you want your children to educate them, play with others. Don't teach them to try to take advantage of others. So it's that building that relationship, that nerd girl Essential tried to do with the building of the bridges. And it really is where we are now, that decentralized utilities allow us to matter outside of our caste, which is the most important thing than class. Class is what you've gotten for free. Caste theoretically is where your ceiling is. And so you have to look at the difference between the two, because both RG and I are old rig drivers. We were the blood of the sand of the earth back in the day. Now automation's coming for our jobs, but look at what ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion did for white collar, not blue collar. It would behoove everyone to understand this, to really understand where we are within our own epoch or circular loop of our own ecosystem.
We're in the primordial goo.
That's a good one, Cappy. I'll start to use that. So that one.
The primordial goo of DeFi crypto. I mean, it's here, and that's why the DeFi tour, the Pulse Chain tour is because for so long here we only talked about Hex, and we didn't even talk much about Pulse Chain or Pulse X because they weren't here, and now they're here. We're excited about them, but only as utility for what's to come now. So Pulse Chain is proving itself. It is the proving ground for other DeFi products to climb out of the primordial goo and start to bring
ooze is
utility.
the term. Ooze is the term. It's actually primordial ooze, but I'll give you the gift.
There you go, primordial ooze. I like ooze better. But anyway, so here we are, and it's going to be interesting to see what these people build, because Richard can't build everything.
He shouldn't.
And there's some very smart people out there that want to do good. And I think inherently that, we're going to have our scammers come in here. Don't get me wrong. But I think that the old school Hexicans, I think that the people that see this for what it is really finally have a place to go out and build what has been needed to be built for a long time. I mean, crypto is 12 years old. We've been trying to get our feet underneath us, and now we finally have, and it's time to stand up and go get these things done because the people need it. I mean, the timing couldn't be more perfect. The dollar is slipping. It's losing against itself because there isn't anything else out there that's gaining on it because the whole world is slipping. But the thing that is gaining, I think, is crypto. And I think that it is Pulse Chain, Pulse X, and Hex crypto, and the ecosystem that is going to be built around it that is going to climb out of the primordial ooze and, and make it happen.
One more thing to a point to that, because a lot of people don't understand. A stable coin, if it's still binded to $1, still gets the same inflation of $1. Why are you all not thinking all the things through at the same time? And so if you're going to be a bitch about, fiat's the devil, but I'm going to hold my shit in stable, like you just have a POS coin, but you're basically holding it in the same variable of the same thing you're bitching about. Fucking
100, man. I mean, right?
No, it's leaking from our old trucking days. It's leaking blinker fluid, Captain. It's leaking fucking blinker fluid. That's exactly what that is. And so you have to look at all of those as the same variables. But the most important thing about all the RH stuff is the dynamic intellectual community that don't get paid, that come out here, and everyone has a different birth of knowledge, that we all come together as a unit to try to educate, build, grow, teach, and do. Again, I don't care if you're driving a tricycle or a bus or a big rig. If you're riding down the road, you're riding within pathing. You're not rubbernecking around. And that's really the problem with all the streamers and all the toxicity and all the rest of it, is they're rubbernecking, just like we had to deal with when we're going down the big road, right? Don't look at the accident, because you should be glad that you're not in that lane. period.
All right, gentlemen, final thoughts. I'm going to shut her down. We've been on for 2 hours and I don't want to stretch this too much longer.
Okay, I have a question, and
Uh-huh.
and I haven't really heard people talk about this in this manner, and I had a question for Kool-Aid here, and but if you're going to give an answer, it can't be super long.
That's hard.
Well, that's
The
hard.
answer,
All right.
the answer is
Okay.
yes. The answer is
Okay.
yes. 42.
No.
The number answer is 42.
42.
All right.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
So here's the thing. So when we look back at the stock market, for example,
Mhm.
and we knew and people that really know fundamentals look at the economy, they look at the stock market, and they're like, they were shorting the stock market because everything that was actually fundamental and truth, said they should be shorting it because it was going to go down. Well, why did it keep going up? It's because just the money printers, right? For lack of a better term, the money printers. And that's why the stock market has continued to go up. So my question or my thought is, when I think of liquid loans, I think of the earn token. I think of, number one, I think of a much better system of money because it's not backed by nothing. It's backed by something very valuable that we find very valuable. It's backed by code that is immutable. It's backed by something that actually is overbacked. So when they print more money, they don't say, "Oh, we can't print more money because we have to uncover some more gold first, and then we're gonna back this. We're gonna back every ounce of every dollar is being backed by an ounce of gold, or they're gonna overback it by 900%." No, they're not going to do that. They're just going to keep printing. But whenever you look at the tokenomics, or look at not the tokenomics, but you look at the
Mechanics.
the mechanics. Thank you very much, of liquid loans, and you can look at that code and say how much of that is backed. And then if we start looking at this system and you say, you know what, it's actually backed 500%. Oh, it's backed 600%. It's 900% backed, and that can be seen in the code. It's visible. It's not like some concept. It's not like, hey, we think it's backed, or it's like some of the other stable tokens that are out there are not. We can't see how much they're actually backed by.
Tether didn't dip. Tether didn't dip. It dipped for a second. USDC is the one that got knocked. But keep going on. Yeah.
Right. So, but my point being is that we're looking at now creating a stable token that is backed by something of value, and it's all visible in the code. So, in my opinion, this is my opinion, and this is just coming from not super brain. I'm not into the technology, but I'm just like, when I look at our financial system is backed by nothing, but it keeps going up, and so they print the money, and then people, what do they do with it? It goes out, and then they end up buying more stocks with it, and the stocks go up. So when I look at something like liquid loan and the earn token, I'm like, there will be, in my opinion, a number of whales that will like, yeah, I'm going to now participate in that system, and I'm going to loan my token so that I can have a stable token. And guess what? Buy the heck out of Hex. Buy these things that we already know and love, but they're leveraging their to do something else. So that, to me, that is a huge pump amount that will pump, in my opinion, the price of our tokens. Regardless of what else is going on, I think that you'll have a lot of big players do that. It just makes all the sense in the world, but I haven't heard anybody talk about that. And they talk about, oh, we'll just have to wait and see. Oh, but and they start talking about all these fancy words, in my opinion, about the stable tokens and how they're not true value. And I'm like, if they're going to be creating something that we all see as valuable in the system as a stable token, and then they're going to be buying Hex, there's a whole lot of value in that to me. So I don't know. Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. And the only thing to make a short answer would be let the orchards grow. We'll get into an in-depth conversation. Hopefully, if I can get out to see you Friday based on when my stuff arrives. But to quickly synopsize what you said, before we had leverage, we had debt, we had the petrodollar, and all of them play their funny little games to win stupid prizes. Now we have self-sovereignty of you're not an accredited investor or a recreational investor. You have the ability to look on liquidity pools like Access or Sloth or Gifford or all the rest that shows you how to do it intrinsically. You have people like Coffee that teach you how to exactly get that simple way to get in to then get your leg up on your numbers and your algebra and your English and all the rest of that type of stuff. But that's why you learn a language in high school. So that way you can learn more to amplify your language. And as we have, if we want to just go out earn, or the liquidity fork, so we have Liquid Loans and Power City, both of them bind utility on the same ecosystem that is also binded liquidity to each other. That's very powerful, very, very powerful. And then we have other people doing self-sovereign off-ramps like Coast. We have people building multi-liquidity bridges. We have different forks and different utility are coming in. Remember, the reason why people fork things is because most of the stuff is vetted and audited, and all they have to do is understand the functions, mechanics, and parameters and tweak it for the ecosystem that you're building. But the real question is that ecosystem that you're forking also aligned to things? Take Tetra, for example, versus what Uniswap V4 we're going to do. I'm glad people understand node-based scripting. It's way over people's heads, but you should learn it. And so at the end of the day, if you now understand that we are by self-sovereign individuals getting the ability to build these things, then now we have the power, because knowledge is the most expensive token in the world. Sorry if that wasn't short enough.
And it's there. It just hasn't come to fruition yet. Now the tools are there to build it, and the people are building them, and we will see them shortly, and they are
Correct.
going to change the world. They are. I truly believe that DeFi, with what Richard has created, is going to change the world in the way we do finance. And it's up to all of us to get the word out. So bucket fill each other, get out there and do your thing. If it's nothing, just support the people that are doing it. If you do have a voice, if you do have knowledge, if you do have the gumption to go out there and do it, join me on the Pulse Chain Tour. Come on out to Seattle in 9 days. I think it's the 23rd or the 24th.
23rd.
Go to pulsechaintour.com. On the 23rd, we're going to be in Seattle.
24th.
No, it is the 24th.
24th.
And come to Seattle, come see us. We've got many more legs of the tour that are going on. Some of them are seminars, some of them are meetups. But get to one, see how you can get involved, go make your voice. And hey, appreciate everybody for coming and hanging out with us tonight. We will see you.
Hey, if you haven't, if you're not following, if not following me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. It's the singer_DM, and go check out, go like the video song we did on the Pulse Chain. That's one thing I'll say. And chain. Pulse Chain, chain. Yeah, and
That's good. That's good.
And then also Gen Con is next weekend. If you're interested, go to Gen Con 2023. I think somebody put it in the chat a minute ago. That's .com. And then Larry, man, send me your. I can't find your number. Send me your number.
We'll get it on the green screen. Yeah, no, we'll do it on the green screen after this.
All right, man.
All right, my peeps. We'll see you later. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next week.